In section 6.2, we're going to move on to measurements of area, volume, and capacity. The units of length are also referred to as linear units because they measure things along one dimension. The units that are used to measure the size of an object that are in two dimensions are called square units. They are based on a very simple idea that one square unit is defined to be the area of a square that is 1 unit long on each side. The first conversion we want to do in this section is to convert 1 square feet into square inches, okay? And there's a couple different ways that we can kind of think about this and go about it. So we know from earlier that 1 foot was equal to 12 inches. So these two values are equal, which means that their squares will also be equal. So if I square the left-hand side of this equation, that means I also have to square the right-hand side. And not only do the numbers get squared, but the values get squared too. So we have to do 1 squared, foot squared, will be equal to 12 squared inches squared. And we find out that 1 square foot is equal to 12 squared. That's 12 times 12. That's 144 square inches. If you want to kind of reason through why exactly this works and how this is involved, imagine if you had a 1 foot square. So if I have a square with an area of 1 square foot, that would be a square that would be 1 foot on each side. So 1 foot by 1 foot. And now if we think about subdividing this, the sides of this square up, remember, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So if I come over here and I break this apart into 12 equal pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, that will give me the 12th one. I can break that one up into 12 pieces. I can also break the other dimension up into 12 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, not totally equal, but you get the idea. If I look at this little sector here, it would be 1 inch by 1 inch. So that little block right there would have an area of 1 square inch. And if we think about, well, how many of these little blocks fit into this 1 square foot grid? Well, the answer is 12 times 12 or 144 of them. So in that way, we can see that 1 square foot, which would be this big guy here, is equivalent to having 144 of those little 1 inch by 1 inch squares. The application of this, as we kind of move on here, will be with our unit fractions. If we look at some of the common equivalents for conversions between both English and metric, 1 square foot is 144 square inches. 1 square yard is equivalent to 9 square feet, which is 1,296 inches squared. And then you can kind of go down and see some of the other very common conversions. In example 2, they say that we have a 52-inch TV that has a area of 1,064 square inches. How many square feet is that? So to do this conversion, we're going to do it like we did in the last section. We're going to do a bridge. So I can put my 1,064 inches squared over 1. If I want to get rid of inches squared, then inches squared has to go in the denominator. I want to go 2 square feet, so that's going to go on the top. The relationship is 1 of the square feet is 144 of the square inches. This will get the inches squareds to cancel. My final unit will come out in terms of feet squared. We do all of the numerators multiplied together over all of the denominators multiplied together. And then for the last step, we just have to simply divide. It's going to be 1,064 divided by 144. And that's approximately about 7.4. So about 7.4 square feet. Let's take a look at the next one. They say that Yellowstone National Park has an area of 219,789 acres. How many square miles is it? So we want to go ahead and see if we can do this conversion. Acres is going to go on the top. We want to get rid of acres, so I'm going to put acres on the bottom. And we want to go to square miles. We have to figure out where is that conversion. And this sheet will be given to you on the test, by the way. So these values you will not have to memorize. There will be an equation sheet for that next exam where all of these will be given to you. The important thing that you'll have to be able to do is to look them up and apply and find the right conversion. If we're looking for the relationship between square miles and acres, it's 1 square mile is 640 acres. So we come down here. 1 goes with the square miles. 640 goes with the acres. Cancel, cancel. Our final answer will come out in terms of square miles. And then it's just going to be a division. We have the 2 million number divided by 640. And that should be about 3,468.4 square miles. Let's take a look at another one. Here in example 4, we have this 2,191,781 square yards. And we are asked to convert this to acres. In order to convert to acres, I want to get rid of square yards. If square yards is on the top over here, then we would have to put it on the bottom of the fraction. We want to go to acres, so that's going to go on top. And now we go to our formula sheet to see, can we find a relationship between acres and square yards? So looking through, what do I see? I see acres and miles. I see acres and feet squared, acres and square meters, but we're looking for what? We're looking for acres and square yards. There is no direct relationship between acres and square yards. So this is one of those examples where we're going to actually have to make an additional bridge. So starting off with acres, one thing that I know I could do, just look at this formula, is I could convert from acres to feet squared. And then if I know feet squared, I could then convert that to square yards. So we're going to have to do a double bridge here. Let's first convert from acres to feet squared, and then we'll convert our feet squared into the yards squared. 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. So 1 acre is 43,560, and this is going to be square feet. The units would cancel. So I now have feet squared. And now I can go from feet squared to acres. What is the relationship between feet squared and acres? Oops, did I make the mistake here? Hold on, let's back it up 1 second. Oops, so hold on. My apologies. We started with yards squared. Yards squared, we can first go to feet squared. And then from feet squared, we can go to acre squared. This one, some of you might know, but 1 square yard is 9 square feet. This is get rid of the yard squared. We'd have feet squared right now. And now we're going to put in our bridge for feet squared. So it's actually, we started with yard squared. We're going to go to feet squared first. And then we need to go to acres. 1 acre is, again, 43,560 square feet. So one of these is 43,560 square feet. These cancel, and this will give us the answer in acres. On the test, what I would like everybody to do is at least show your bridge setup. Just in case if you make a numerical mistake, this will help you to get some partial credit. And now let me also show you how you can enter this in the calculator in one shot. So we know that at the end of the day, we multiply all the numerators together, and then we divide it by all the denominators multiplied together. If you have a scientific calculator, what you can do is you can start a parenthesis to enter your numerator values. I'm going to do the 2191781 times, we have 9, and then times, you don't have to put it, but times 1 is going to leave it the same. So this represents all my numerators multiplied together, divide by, and then you would need a parenthesis for all of your denominators multiplied together. So 1 times 1 times 43,560. Hit enter. That would give us a final answer of about 542.8. So that would be about 452.8 acres. Let's look at another example. In example 5, it says the plans for building a deck for 28 square meters of decking boards. John already has 300 square feet. Does he have enough? So for this one, we need to kind of do a conversion, and there's more than one way to do it. So we can convert the 300 square feet into square meters, or you can convert the square 100 meters into square feet, and then just kind of compare the two answers. I'll take the 200 square feet, and let me compare this to square meters. So we have 300 square feet over 1 times, I want to get rid of square feet, so square feet's going to have to go on the bottom. And we would like to see, do we have a relationship between square feet and square meters? We do. 1 square foot is 0.093 square meters. .093 square meters. These will cancel. Our final answer will turn out in terms of meters squared. And now we just multiply. So we're going to have 300 times 0.093, which is 27.9. So John has 27.9 square meters. Again, one of the things we've talked about all class long is, whenever you're working out a problem, make sure you're answering the question of the thing that is asked of you. Here, it wasn't simply just to do a conversion. We were trying to answer the question of, does this person have enough materials? And the answer is no. The plans require 28 square meters, and he only has 27.9 square meters. So the answer is no, he does not have enough. Let's take a look at example 6. They say that Prince Edward County has an area of 1,000. Well, that's a weird number. Sorry, everybody. The comma's not in the right place. It should be 10,501.1 square kilometers. Is it larger or smaller than Butler County, which is 470 square miles? So this is another situation where we need to do a conversion here. In order to compare the sizes of these two places, we would prefer for them to have exactly the same units. So we have a choice. We can either convert from square kilometers to square miles, or square miles to square kilometers. Doesn't matter how we do it. Maybe I'll convert square kilometers to miles. So I'm going to take this 10,501.1 square kilometers, and I want to convert it to square miles. Let's see if we can find a relationship. Yep, there's one right here. 1 square mile is approximately 2.59 kilometers squared. So 1 goes with the miles, 2.59 goes with the kilometer squared. Cancel, cancel. And now we simply kind of go ahead here and divide. And when we do that, we get 4,054.5 square miles. So the question is, which one is bigger? The answer is going to be Prince Edward County. Let's take a look at example 7. They say that a room is to be carpeted with 300 square feet. How much would it cost to carpet the room if the carpet cost $22 per square yard installed? So the total cost is going to be the amount times the unit price. So it's going to be $22 times the number of square yards we have. Well, we don't know the number of square yards. We know the number of square feet, but we can convert that. Our 300 square feet is going to go over 1. If I want to get rid of feet squared, it's got to go on the bottom. If I want to go to yards squared, it's going to go on the top. The relationship here is that 1 square yard is equal to 9 square feet. The square feet cancel. So we're going to have 300 divided by 9. Which is going to be 33.3333 repeating. Or you can think of it as like 33 and a third. And for me, I'm going to write out all of these decimals simply because we now need to use this number in a multiplication. And to avoid round off error, we don't want to round until the very final answer. So this is the number of square yards we have. I'm now going to take that 33.3 repeating square yards, multiply it by the cost of $22 per square yard, and what this should give us is going to be the total cost. Luckily, I still have that number saved in my calculator, so I still have all of those decimals right there, and I'm just going to now multiply it by 22. And at this point now, it's our final answer, so we do have to round, and because it's money, we'll round to the nearest penny. It would be $733.33. So $733.33. That would be the total price it would cost to carpet the room. The next thing we're going to look at is units of capacity in the English system. These are things that every good cook or chef should know. Conversions between pints, quarts, gallons. 1 pint is 16 fluid ounces. 1 quart is 2 pints. And 1 gallon would be equal to 4 quarts. We also have some conversions within the English system. 1 cubic foot is 7.48 gallons. 1 cubic yard is approximately 202 gallons. 1 gallon is approximately 231 inches cubed. And knowing the density of water would actually allow us to convert from a volume to a weight. So these last two, be a little bit careful here. These aren't actually unit conversions necessarily. What they are is they're converting a certain volume into the amount of mass that thing would have. And that would involve knowing the density of that substance. So density is equal to mass divided by volume. Or if you solve it the other way, mass is equal to density times volume. If you know how dense something is and you know the volume of it that you have, then you multiply those together and that gives you the mass, or kind of like the weight of the substance that you have. If you had a cubic foot of fresh water, it'd be about 62.5 pounds, whereas a cubic foot of salt water would be about 64 pounds. And the difference between the two of these is obviously salt water has things like minerals and salt built into it, which on a per element basis would be heavier than an H2O molecule. And so salt water is a little more dense, and that's why it turns out to be just a little bit heavier. Let's take a look at example 8. If a water tank at an aquarium holds 3,000 cubic feet, how many gallons will the tank hold? So we want to do a conversion here. This is now a volume. So it's cubic feet, that's feet to the third power, over 1. We want to convert from cubic feet to gallons. So cubic feet goes on the bottom. Gallons goes on top. Let's find that relationship. 1 cubic foot is 7.48 gallons. So one of these is 7.48 of those. These cancel. And let's see what we get. 3,000 times 7.48 is going to be about 22,440 gallons. As a follow-up question, they say, if the tank contains salt water, how much does it weigh? Well, we know that 1 cubic foot of salt water is 64 pounds. So going back here to our 3,000 cubic feet, I know that 1 cubic foot of salt water has a weight of 64 pounds. The feet units cancel, and so we would get 3,000 times 64, which is going to be 192,000 pounds. Pretty hefty tank. We are now going to look at conversions within the metric system. And again, the base unit for volume in the metric system is going to be the cubic meter. Okay. We have centimeters cubed is 1 milliliter. 1 decimeter cubed is 1,000 centimeters cubed, which is 1 liter. 1 cubic meter is 1,000 decimeters cubed, which is 1 kiloliter, etc. Let's take a look at a conversion here. We want to convert 82.5 cubic meters to milliliters. Cubic, so it should be third power, sorry. We want to go to milliliters. Let's come up here and see if we can find a relationship. So from meters cubed to milliliters. Well, we have from milliliters to decimeters cubed. We have from meters cubed to kiloliters. So we're going to have to do a little bit of a conversion here. So we can't go directly from meters cubed to milliliters. But what we can do, for instance, is we can go from milliliters to kiloliters first. Let's do that. I know that 1 cubic meter is the same thing as 1 kiloliter. So it's 1 to 1. The meters cubed cancel. And so we get that this is going to be equal to 82.5 kiloliters. But now we want to change from kilo to milli. And this is going back to our King Henry saying. King Henry died blank drinking chocolate milk. When we're talking about volumes, the base unit is the liter. So it goes like this: kiloliters, hectoliters, decaliters, liters, deciliters, centiliters, milliliters. We have kiloliters right now. That's what our answer is. And we want to go to milliliters, which is right here. So again, just count the decimal point hops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in particular, it's 6 to the right. So I take my number 82.5, and I need to move the decimal spot 6 places to the right. 1 spot goes around the 5. I still have an additional 5 spots to go, so I need to add 5 zeros. And that should do it. So the answer to this one is going to be 825 followed by 5 zeros. And just for emphasis, maybe I'll put the commas in there. But it's equivalent to 82,500,000 milliliters. So 82,500 milliliters. Let's take a look at the next one. How many gallons are equivalent to 2 liters? So we have 2 liters, and we want to convert them to gallons. Notice we don't have a direct relationship between liters and gallons, but we do know liters and quarts. And if we can get the quarts, then we should be able to get the gallons. So let's start. We have our 2 liters over 1. I want to get rid of liters. I'm going to put that on the bottom. I'm going to put quarts on the top. That relationship is, again, if I can find it. 1 liter is 1.06 quarts. So not exactly equal, but not too far off, right? A liter is almost a quart. Quart's just a tad bit smaller. So 1.06 quarts. The liters will cancel. And now this is a conversion we should know between quarts and gallons. There are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So these cancel. And this will give us our final answer in gallons. So I'm going to, again, when you have a multiple bridge like this, you multiply all the numerators together. So I put those in the parentheses. Oops, times 1. Divided by parentheses. My denominators are 1 times 1 times 4, which I know is just 4. And we get about 0.53. So 0.53. So 2 liters is just about approximately a half of a gallon. And this is, I don't know if it's useful to know, but the way I always kind of think of this, especially if I'm in like the grocery store shopping, if you think about like a gallon of milk, and if you think about like a 2-liter bottle of soda, the 1 gallon containers can hold almost 2 full liters of soda.